Hello, my name is Tom Harrod, and I'm the Associate Director for Reference, Instruction, and Access at the Himmelfarb Health Sciences Library. Over the years, I've met with countless students performing systematic reviews for publication, as part of a class assignment, or as part of their culminating experience project. In addition to providing tailored literature search assistance, I've also provided guidance on what differentiates systematic reviews from other literature reviews, as well as outlining some of the basic steps in performing a systematic review. In these videos, I will try to give a brief overview of some of those topics. To that end, here's an outline of what I'll be covering. During these sessions, I want to answer the following questions. What are the different kinds of literature reviews and what makes systematic reviews unique? What are the common steps in performing a systematic review? How do you create an effective systematic review search strategy? How to proceed when the search doesn't yield the desired results? And how do you use the systematic review software Competence? In this video, I will answer the first of these questions. What are the different kinds of literature reviews and what makes systematic reviews unique? This chart is a gross oversimplification, and there are certainly many more varieties of literature reviews that are possible. However, in my experience, the majority of people are trying to do one of the literature reviews described on this page. The nomenclature can be confusing, but for the sake of this video, I will refer to systematic reviews and narrative reviews as subtypes of literature reviews. In this chart, I'd like to run through some of the key differences between systematic reviews and narrative reviews. One of the big differences is in the time involved. For a systematic review to be done properly, if intended for publication, it will take at least months and probably a year or more to complete, whereas a narrative review may be more in the order of weeks to months. Now, there is an important caveat to this, which is not all systematic reviews are done for publication. Some of them are done for school projects and things like that, and so those are usually performed with specific limitations that make it possible to complete those projects in a more reasonable time frame, like weeks or months. The purpose of the two types of reviews is very different as well. For a systematic review, the purpose is to answer a specific research question, to ask that question and then identify all relevant information on the topic in order to come to a thorough answer. Whereas a narrative review is done to give a summary of a topic, to identify the most important articles and then summarize. The methodologies are also very different. In order to identify all relevant information, a systematic review requires an information search, article selection, and data extraction that are consistent, methodical, and exhaustive. They should be transparent, well documented, and reproducible. Whereas for a narrative review, the methods are looser and not systematic, and typically the methods aren't even reported. The search strategy is very different as well. For a systematic review, you must search across multiple databases, and that's because there's no one database that has all of the relevant information, so you have to look at multiple information sources. In addition, you may have to look at information sources beyond traditional article databases to try to get all of the relevant information. Whereas for a narrative review, very often the search can be done just in one database. Article selection is also very different. As mentioned before, the inclusion process, or the process of including articles, must be done in a very systematic way to minimize the chance of bias. And so there are inclusion-exclusion criteria that are applied so that the article selection is done in a transparent, reproducible way. Whereas for a narrative review, article choice and analysis is not performed in a systematic manner, and so there's a higher possibility of bias. And in terms of a protocol, systematic reviews should be done based on a protocol. So a protocol that's designed ahead of time in which the specific steps are laid out as to how the project will be completed. Again, this is in order to minimize the likelihood of bias and have a reproducible, transparent process, and one that can actually be reported later when the final product is written. whereas for a narrative review, there's typically no protocol for performing the searches. This concludes my discussion of the key differences between different types of literature reviews. Next time, I want to discuss some of the common steps in performing a systematic review. So long for now, and see you next time.